Do you ever feel like your husband is another child?
I am your mother. You listen to me.
Maybe it's because he really takes care of himself and he might disappear into the bathroom for 45 minutes just as dinner time is starting. Or go off golfing with his buddies on Sunday morning and not even think about who's taking care of the kids. Or maybe it's because he seems a little bit emotionally immature, or like he's not on top of things around the house, or like he leaves his dirty socks for you to pick up. If you feel like your husband is another child, you are not alone. I have thousands of women who are students of mine who share this type of frustration. And I have to say, sometimes I can relate. But I know that you're here because you want to create a strong family culture and a strong marriage, which is the foundation of that family culture. And for that, you need to feel attracted to your husband. You need to look at him like a partner, a significant other, a man, your hero, not like another child for you to take care of, not like another drain on your energies, but rather a source of energy and support for you. You need that. I need that. Let's get into it. If you're new around here, hi, I'm Avital. Make sure that you slam the like button and the subscribe and the notification bell so that I can help you to build a strong family culture, to love parenting, to parent from love, and to create moments of family bliss. Full disclosure, I believe that family life is the most meaningful adventure that we can go on. I believe it's the best route to purpose and fulfillment, and I'm here to help you make that happen. Number one, I want you to know that the stereotype exists for a reason. Yes, it is true. You are not imagining things. You really are more detail-oriented, more on top of the household, better at multitasking, maybe more responsive to the children, more nurturing and patient with them, more careful about risks, and more on top of household management in general. You're not imagining it. Men are less hands-on with emotional labor, with logistics, with safety, and with all the household details. So if he was the one who was supposed to be doing the bedtime routine, but he fell asleep himself and left it to you, or if there's been a pile of his clothes on the chair in your bedroom for 2 months, but he's not touching it, or if he's perfectly fine playing basketball with his friends while you're wrangling the toddlers and doesn't give it a second thought, you are not alone and you're not imagining it. But it's also not cause for you to see him as a drain or as another kid. That is, in fact, a modern and rather toxic frame of this typical masculine behavior that isn't serving you in your marriage. And that's why I'm here to help you reframe it. Listen, I'm no stranger to that feeling, but the truth is that the more you say it, the more you believe it. If you keep collecting evidence for the ways that your husband is immature, unhelpful, irrelevant, useless, incompetent, or like another child, then you are going to find more and more evidence for that because that's how our brain works. It's called confirmation bias. And culture at large, from Sex and the City to Eat, Pray, Love, to The Simpsons, to the Bernstein Bears, is rife with images of fathers as fumbling, bumbling fools, as another kid. I mean, I love the Bernstein Bears, but I don't know why Papa Bear is always positioned as having the same issues that the kids have. For example, Papa Bear also struggles with doing chores and makes excuses to get out of them. Papa Bear also struggles with being polite and he forgets his manners even more than the cubs. And Mama Bear is always in this position of mothering him and admonishing him and telling him off, often in front of the cubs. You may not notice it, but this message that fathers are irrelevant or that fathers are just another kid for the moms to take care of is everywhere. But if you keep narrating that in your head, you're going to continue to reinforce this cultural meme in your own home. And it could lead to the demise of your attraction and eventually your marriage. Because what we narrate, we reinforce. If you call him a child, even just in your own head, your brain is going to see him as incompetent. It's going to highlight and pick up evidence to support your theory. It's going to minimize all the ways that he is a grown-ass man and helpful and useful and competent and maximize all the ways he behaves like a little kid. It's going to frame perfectly understandable situations where he might fall asleep or he might forget to do something as immaturity. And no one stays attracted to someone immature, to someone they perceive as a burden. So even just for pure selfish reasons, you want to start training your brain to pick up on all the ways he's like a man, not a baby. Number two, when you think of him as a child, you treat him as a child. And when you treat him as a child, he acts like one. This is Psychology 101. People live up or down to our expectations of them. Patronizing, micromanaging, mocking equals less initiative, more withdrawal, and more passive resistance on his part. When you look at him, frame him, and treat him like a man-child, that will not motivate him to grow up and be a man. In fact, it will emasculate him. Here's the thing so many women don't understand. When you belittle and patronize and criticize a man, he doesn't say, I'm going to prove her wrong, like you think he will. He doesn't say, I'm not a child, I'm a man. Let me step up to the plate. Let me show you. Let me take some burden off of you. Let me be helpful. No, he says, oh, I'm a man-child? No problem. Let me get the video games out. You're emasculating him by feeding that narrative, by labeling him as such, and he will live down to your worst expectations of him. Plus, when you treat him like a child, you're also acclimating him to the idea that you don't trust him with adult endeavors and responsibilities. So every time you prematurely step in to save him from some parenting mistake he's making, he's not putting the diaper on properly, he's burning the pasta, he's reading the wrong bedtime story. Or every time you won't leave him alone with the kids and go on a couple days trip or out for the evening because he doesn't know where the things are and he won't know how to do it because he's a man-child, you're actually feeding and reinforcing this idea that he's incompetent. But worse than that, you're robbing him of opportunities to build that competence. Listen, you weren't born a competent, mature adult mother. You didn't know how to change a diaper. You didn't know how to soothe a baby. You didn't know how to make dinner. You didn't know how to do all of the things around the household that you now do seamlessly. You make it seem effortless and natural, but the truth is you had to learn it the hard way, just like everyone else, through practice. And if you're robbing him of opportunities to practice and to master the craft of fatherhood or of homemaking, then that's okay, but he will never master them. So in many regards, you're creating a child by treating him like one. Women make jokes the whole time that if they have to go on a couple days business trip, the house is going to be an absolute mayhem, or they need to call in backup, nannies, babysitters, cleaners to save their husband from himself. Or he doesn't even know where we keep the milk. How is he going to take care of the kids for a weekend? In doing so, they're shooting themselves in the foot. They're doing the first mistake we said, which is seeing him as a child, therefore increasing their sense of repellence from him. And they're doing the second mistake, which is reinforcing that by treating him like a child. So he will tend to agree with you. If you don't think you can trust him with the kids, maybe he can't trust himself with the kids. He does need grandma as backup. He does need a hired babysitter. He can't take care of his own children. He can't babysit them because you've never let him just dad. That's called learned helplessness. And you need to stop enabling it and then complaining about it whilst reinforcing it. Just end that vicious cycle by leaving him up to his own devices from time to time. Yes, you can go to a girls' night. Yes, you can go to a spa on Sunday morning. Yes, you can leave bedtime up to him. It won't be exactly to your standards, but he will learn how to do things his way. We'll talk about your standards more in just a moment. But the next thing I want to bring up is just understanding the biological differences between men and women. I know that in our culture, it's popular to flatten the differences between sexes and see men as just overgrown women who don't give birth. But the truth is that evolutionary psychology supports the idea that there are basic differences between the sexes in things like our attention, our threat sensitivity, and our social attunement. And this makes perfect sense. Because if you think about how we evolved, women evolved to birth babies and then to nurture them. We have to be able to multitask and we have to be able to notice threat. We're hypersensitive to anything that could go wrong because we are tasked with protecting a newborn baby who is so vulnerable. So every rustling in the bushes has our energies peaked. Women are, on average, much higher in sensitivity to negative emotion. We complain more, we whine more, we nag more, we notice more all the things that are going wrong, and we're much more detail-oriented. Whether it's a baby's hunger cue or that pile of papers sitting on the kitchen counter, we notice things that, on average, men just don't. And that's because men evolved to hunt, to focus, to protect from intruders, and to take action. Men are better at single tasking. They don't notice that the laundry and the cooking and the baby all at once, but rather are goal-oriented on one specific mission at a time, as one has to be when you hunt game, for example. And as such, men are also more risk tolerant and less sensitive to negative emotion and negative cues, which might explain why they are less worried about what's going on with the kids, with the minutiae of bedtime, with the details around screens or sugar. The point is that you are not better than him. It's not that he's a child and you're a grown-up. It's that you're a woman and he's a man. And so you're biologically, psychologically, culturally, evolutionarily different. Rather than framing that up with superiority to him, why don't you both play to your strengths? You each have good things that you bring to the table, and you each have weaknesses. And the whole idea of marriage is to harmonize and to cooperate together and to work as a team to raise our children. He doesn't need to be a clone of you and do exactly the same things as you in the exact same way you would do them in order to be a good partner to you. And you can stop seeing him as a little kid and start understanding how men operate. What is the male psychology on average, stereotypically, normally? What were men evolved for? What are his strengths? And instead of constantly pointing out his weaknesses and framing them up as immaturity, you might want to elevate his strengths and really lean on them and use them to your advantage in your home. Hey, real quick before we get back to that point. Do you ever feel like your marriage is fine, but also kind of flat? Like you're married to a good man, your home is stable, but still something is missing. Do you ever catch yourself wondering, is this all there is? Or repeating the same arguments over and over again, leading you to ask yourself, did I marry the wrong person? If that is you, you are so not alone. I have been there and so have thousands of my students. But I created something for you. It's called Married You, like Married University. And it's your step-by-step roadmap to rebuilding the love, the friendship, and the communication that you seek inside of your relationship. No therapy, no books, no dragging him to anything. This is something you can do all on your own. You see, we were never really taught the marriage skills that we need to create longevity and joy in our relationship. But if you want the marriage of your dreams with the partner that you've got, then go to married-u.com or click on the link somewhere around this video and start with my free masterclass, Marriage by Design. And the good news is you can do this completely alone. He doesn't even need to know. This is not going to be one more thing for you to argue about. So let's end the madness, but not the marriage. Go to married-u.com. All right, let's get back to the show. The next point is that his boundaries are not selfish, they're healthy. Yes, men often tune out on their phones or on video games. They often disappear for a workout or for a nap, and often it's at inopportune times. And yes, you do need to communicate with your partner to feel respected, to feel that he understands that he might be leaving you with the kids or with the housework or with all the dishes to do, and that you are in agreement together and, forging and negotiating clear and compelling and helpful house rules for the two of you to run your household smoothly. But don't frame up his need to take time with the guys or time at the gym or time for sleep as immaturity. In fact, it's more projection on your part because you are unwilling to invest in your self-care properly. Am I right? I bet that when you need a nap, you're not just taking it. When you should be going to the gym, you're saying, oh, I can't because I have kids. When you want time with your girlfriends or with your sister, you're saying, yeah, I'll do that in 10 years when my kids are grown because right now, all I need to focus on is my kids. Listen, it's admirable that you're devoted to your children, but it's also admirable that he has boundaries and clarity around what he needs and that he is doing so and taking care of himself so he doesn't collapse or sink into a depression or break down or get sick. And that's the kind of thing that you might want to learn from. You might want to balance that out with him. Now, he shouldn't do it in selfish ways. He shouldn't just check out without letting you know. And yeah, this is the type of thing that you both need. But the idea isn't to take him down several pegs, but rather to elevate you several pegs so that you are also taking care of yourself in a guilt-free manner. I know so many of my students come to me telling me that their husbands just take whatever time they need for themselves. If they need time for work or for the gym or for their friends, they just take it at the women's expense. And the woman stands there feeling used, feeling taken for granted, feeling like it's so unfair and it's so patriarchal. And how dare he? And building resentment towards her partner. He's like a child. Look how selfish and narcissistic he is. Why don't we work in a team? Why doesn't he see me and my needs? Why don't I ever get to do that? But never once does she simply, calmly, lovingly, and directly negotiate with her partner on what a Sunday or an evening or a weekend should look like. Rather than blaming him for taking care of himself, it's time to learn from him, to emulate him, and to join him on that self-care quest, on those boundaries, on that protected time that he has around his work or around his sleep. It's time to bring him in as your hero and savior who gives you that time as well, so that you can operate as a loving team. The truth is, you want him to meet his needs. You want him to be fulfilled, to be successful at work, to be healthy in his body, to sleep well. Those wins are your wins as well. But it's also true that you need that type of time and nurture as well. So don't take it away from him, but instead help him to give that to you. Believe me, if you're married to a good man, he wants you to take care of yourself. He wants to help you to protect your time and to do the things that you need to do in your life beyond just taking care of everybody else. But he's not going to mind read and he's not going to push it on you. And if you just say, no, I got it, it's fine. But really in your heart of hearts, you're fuming. He doesn't know what to do with that. He doesn't speak that language. That's that female language of manipulation and mind reading and guessing games and assuming that he should just know and he should just be thinking about you and he should just see me. But that is delusional and it's going to lead you down a very ugly path. So pull that back, communicate with him with love, with respect, without accusation, without criticism, but with a simple, direct, and feminine request for help with regards to your own needs. If he's modeling guilt-free self-care, copy him. Book your girls' night, leave him with the kids, he'll survive, so will they, and resentment will be gone. The next one is to own your own standards or to let them go. So often when women come to me telling me that their husband is like another child, it's because he doesn't meet their standards. But I need to be brutally honest with you, so tough love incoming. I want you to think how this man would live if you hadn't married him. If he didn't live with you, did he maybe live in a bachelor pad before you got together? Did you see how he kept his room and his underwear and his toothbrush? The truth is that many of us, you and I, have high standards for what we want our home to look like, for the level of cleanliness and hygiene, for the level of order, and for the types of things that we want done. Me, for example, I want the dishes done every single night. I want to wake up to a clean sink and a fresh start. My husband would be perfectly happy to leave them for the morning. I don't like to leave laundry to build up. I do it every single day. He doesn't mind going a few days or even weeks with things crumpled or unclean or waiting till they come back. We have different standards. I have yet to meet a man on this green earth who cares if the tablecloths are ironed. Men don't hold in their head standards and ideas for exactly what the bedtime ritual should be. I just think it's a safe stereotype to say that on average, women care a lot more about the details of how the home should be run, from the physical homemaking aspect to how we talk to our children with the right phrases and the right tone of voice and the right body language to everything else in between. So let me delicately ask you, why are your standards the mature, adult, grown-up thing, and his standards are the immature, childlike thing? Maybe it's just that you're different. Maybe it's just that you're two different individuals, that you're a woman and he's a man, or that you have different temperaments and personalities and cultures, but maybe you just have different ideas of how things should be. Now, you don't have to lower your standards if you don't want to, but you do need to own them. You do need to understand that it's you who cares, that he doesn't care, that if you weren't in the picture, he wouldn't do any of those things. It means nothing to him that the kitchen island is sprayed every single night, or that you've swept, or the deep cleaning that you're doing, or the organization into neat little boxes. He doesn't care. He wouldn't do it. He would just delete it altogether. So if you don't want to delete it, you want to keep those standards, and you want to delegate it to him, you need to understand that in some ways, you're asking him for a favor. You're asking him to do something for you. Now, I know, us women, we never want to need a man. We never want to feel like he's doing something for us. I'm a strong, independent woman. I don't need no man. But you've asked him to meet your standards. You've taken the animal out of the wild. You've domesticated them. And now you want them to do your tricks and jump through your hoops. The correct response to that, if he's willing to meet those standards at all, is gratitude, not entitlement. You've asked him to come live with you in a home, to build a home together, to have children together, and you want things done a certain way, the dishwasher, the washing machine, the beds, then just say thank you when he does it. And you can remind him when he doesn't. You can ask again, would you please? But the entitlement and the supremacy of I'm the adult and he's the child because he doesn't meet my standards is misplaced. And when he does rise to meet your standards, gratitude beats criticism every single time. The next reason women often see their men as a child is because he takes more risks. He's less concerned about the helmets or about letting the 5-year-old use a knife or about teaching the 8-year-old how to start a fire. He's less anxious. And that's because men have lower negative emotion. They are less neurotic than women in their temperaments on average. He lets them climb higher, run faster, eat more sugar, have a later bedtime, and break the rules from time to time. Now, some of this behavior could be really annoying when you're trying to establish boundaries around bedtime or rules around sugar. It can be infuriating and feel like the other parent is undermining you, like he's being like another kid. Why is he negotiating the rules or pushing back against my boundaries instead of reinforcing them? I totally get that. And there is room and a need for clear communication and a united front for us as parents. If you're setting up a specific bedtime routine or rules around sugar, you do want to reinforce those together and not be good cop, bad cop. That's not a good dynamic. I totally get it. But let's not talk about times when he's undermining your rules, because there you really need to communicate it. And let's just talk about his general risk tolerance level. If you feel like he always lets them do too much, like he spikes your anxiety, like he worries you, like it concerns you, maybe like even he's neglectful, then I just want to remind you of the very crucial role of a father in children's lives. Children who are lucky enough to have a dad in their life often have a man who stretches their limits, a man who actually helps them reach their edge and then grow past it, a man who helps them grow stronger, more stable, more confident, more flexible, to problem solve and develop skills that often mothers are too cautious to help them develop. Dads typically push boundaries, moms typically protect, and kids need both. So maybe you have to avert your eyes and look away, breathe deep and manage your anxiety. Maybe you need to ask him to just at least do it with a helmet. Maybe you need to negotiate what you do and don't allow together so you don't undermine each other's rules. But you also could develop in your mind the realization that dads pushing boundaries, rough and tumbling, helping kids to take risks, helps them to become resilient, strong individuals. And that often moms are actually slightly overprotective and hovering. Now, I know this is a stereotype and it's not true for all dads, but if this is one of the reasons that you're seeing him as a child, I would invite you to question that. The next reason that women often see their men as a child is because men are often pretty playful. Maybe he's goofy, maybe he's loud, maybe he's unfiltered. Maybe he could get into a video game or rough and tumble or a game of chess or play soccer all afternoon. Maybe he's the kind of guy who can release all parental responsibilities and all adulting and just be present with the kids. Now, not all men are like this, but if this is the type of playfulness that often makes you feel like, oh, it's just another kid. What about dinner? What about bedtime? What about the taxes and the bills? Why are you always just, throwing caution to the wind and getting down on the floor for a mega session of Lego? Then I just want to appeal to you and say that playfulness in fatherhood is a precious gift to their children. It's not immaturity, it's vitality. They're not being childish. They're being childlike. They're infusing wonder and mystery and joy. And that's actually a very feminine trait that you could dive into more. Start a dance party, lose yourself to a story, get silly, get goofy, make funny jokes, laugh out loud. If you are lucky enough to be married to a playful guy, do not extinguish that. Encourage it. Him making you laugh is probably one of the things that made you fall in love with him in the beginning. Redeem it and reclaim it. Allow him to help you to take yourself a little less seriously. But if you're still seeing your husband as a child, I want to call you to task with this one. Try flipping the script. What would happen if the roles were reversed? Imagine a scenario where maybe you overspent and you blasted through the Christmas budget. Or maybe you were driving distracted and you swiped your neighbor's mirror clean off their car. Or maybe you were frazzled in the morning with everything you have to do and you forgot to put your kid's lunchbox in their backpack. Overspending, crashing the car, forgetting important things. These are very immature, right? Now imagine your husband berated you, criticized you, and told all his friends and perhaps the whole world on TikTok that you are like another child. I guess this is just a friendly reminder that in a relationship, dignity is a two-way street. And my final point is that despite everything feminism has taught us about women needing men like a fish needs a bicycle, or about boss babe energy, or about being a strong, independent woman, the truth is that if you're in a marriage, you probably want to look up to your man. You probably want to see him and feel impressed, feel attracted, feel like in some secret way, he's your hero. You probably really don't want to see him as your child. But my friend, you have a choice here. You can either see him as a kid and step into mother energy and notice his immaturities and treat him like another child and emasculate him, belittle him, patronize him, and reinforce all of that selfish, impulsive, risk-taking behavior. Or you could step into lover energy and see him as your man, as your rock, as a guy you're madly in love with, deeply attracted to, and supremely grateful for. But you can't do both. Mothers are protective. They swoop in and rescue you. They criticize you. They admonish you. They're hovering, they're helicoptering, and they're always looking for ways to help you to improve and to save you from yourself. Often, devouring mothers and helicopter mothers really enable your helplessness, and they teach you that learned helplessness that keeps you emasculated and small. But lovers see strength, not weakness. Lovers inspire action, not complacence. Lovers call you to your higher self. They see the hero in you, and they are excited and inspired by your potential. Every man wants to be seen by his woman as brave, as attractive, as competent. Be the woman that reflects that back to him. If you are caught in this mother-manager trap, then it's time to step back into your feminine energy and call forward the man that you married. I invite you to join my free masterclass, Marriage by Design. You can sign up at married-u.com. Let's rebuild desire, respect, and partnership from the ground up. And if you want to learn how to bring that chemistry back, that's what I created Desire Lab for. So check it out at highfam.com/desire. Now I want to hear from you. Do you ever get caught in this trap of feeling like your husband is like another child? Has this video helped you? What is your key takeaway? Let me know below. And if this is super helpful for you and you like it, then make sure that you are subscribed. So many of my viewers don't subscribe to my channel, but subscribing is free and it's the easiest way to support this channel's growth. And make sure you feed the algorithm by slamming the like button as well. Keep on living that high fam life, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.